Doesn't
Who?
make any sense. Doesn't make any sense to you.
Who is that?
But like one person understood that.
Okay.
Scott Hall. So Scott Hall basically he was like just the bad guy. Like that was his gimmick. I'm the bad guy. And he just hey Chico, hey yo, starts like throwing stuff at people.
Sure.
He was a kind of a bully, just a bad guy. But like behind the scenes, he was always a really nice guy. So
He was a wrestler?
yeah, it's usually how it works.
Okay.
Anywho,
Yeah, well, hey, shoot, we're back. Welcome to the Good Batch, everyone. I'm Aries. We got Prophet God. How you doing?
yeah, doing good, doing good, doing good.
Got the good old stream going back up. I know you've been streaming a lot lately. What have you been streaming?
Oh, I stream WWE content and random junk, and sometimes I dabble in movie trailers or politics.
Sure. And a lot of movies talk is going to be happening here. TV shows, video games, that kind of stuff. Just a place to chill.
Mm-hmm.
Good batch. Good things. Good feelings. Simple. Nothing too crazy. But today we're actually talking about a little, I would like to say a little hidden gem. Uh, Even though it is somewhat mainstream because of the success of its predecessor. But I did not expect this show to be as good as it is. We are,
Yeah,
of course, talking about Vikings Valhalla, which is the predecessor of, not the predecessor, the
Descendant.
descendant. That's right. Sorry, Vikings on History Channel was the predecessor to this show. So yeah, Vikings Valhalla takes place 100 years after the the episodes of Ragnar and Sons, and this show doesn't have the right to be this good. Like listen, I just finished Vikings like 2 weeks ago, and it lulled. I mean, they did the best they could. It was fine, but it definitely was dying. And yeah, I don't know. It didn't. It's not like with this show. I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be more of the same. I need something to watch. Um, wow. After the first episode, I knew we were in for something special.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a little nervous. Like, I think there was like time. Like, I guess we'll address this because this is coming out like a little later. Like, this is not like Hawkeye. Oh, I'm gonna watch it that night, right when it comes out. Like, this came out and then it was out for a bit, and then you recommended it, and I went, maybe I'll watch it. And then yeah, saw the first episode, and I was like, well, okay, all right. I did not expect them to get me to care about these characters so quickly, but they do really well.
Well, there's not even one character that I despise. Like they all, I want to see where all their stories go. After seeing the first season, like there's some things that I like more than others regarding these characters, but it, they're all. It's not like they got a Travis Fimmel and he's like the dude, right? They're
Yeah,
all the dude.
yeah, it feels like they're all the dude. Yeah, that's really it, and that sucks because like it's very Game of Thrones in this a sense that no one is safe. And when people go, it's like it's so conflicting. It's like, oh, I want to cheer for this, but I can't.
Why can't you cheer for it?
Well, I mean, it's later in the season.
Okay, that's fair. Um, but our first episode was called Greenlander. Um, and we're gonna just break through, guys, the entire first season. Spoilers will be happening, so spoiler alert.
Spoilers. Yeah, you should be watching this show. I don't know why
You
you're watching this. But
you
it seems like
really should watch this show. It is very very good. I'm just gonna pull it up real quick.
Greenlander.
Greenlander. Yep, so we have Greenlander, and it says plotting to avenge a massacre in England. Viking armies converge in Catacat, but siblings Leif and Freydis exact a different kind of retribution. So yeah, we do get introduced to the Greenlanders, which is kind of funny because like if you didn't finish Vikings, did you?
No.
So the people that are like on Greenland,
Mm-hmm.
um, is one of the crazy dudes kind of took it over, and one of Ragnar's sons, Uba, left Greenland, So like these are all descendants from the crazy dude that like murdered everyone on Iceland. And yeah, I just I don't know what to. But anyways, they yeah, they go from Iceland to Greenland, trying to find a new land, the promised land, so to speak, aka Canada. Um, they get to Greenland, and this guy, he kind of like is just nuts. Beach is, or excuse me, a well beaches up on his property, and he won't share with any of them, and they all start fighting each other because they're all starving. And Uba and company leave, and then they eventually find Canada, and they find Loki there, or Floki, excuse me, et cetera, et cetera. But these people are the descendant of that crazy man, who was not super likable, but I mean, these characters, very likable. I think, honestly, Leif Erikson might be my favorite character. He's very stoic. He does what he needs to do. I like how he's not like honor hungry. He knows how to fight, which I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that backstory. We got to see him with his shirt off and saw like a big, like a bear scar on his chest, and so like he talked about fighting bears in the past. Because someone questions him in this episode, have you ever fought a bear, or not a bear? Have you ever killed a man? He said nope, but they can't be much different than killing bears. So. Yeah, he's a great character. We also meet Frades. Frades is pretty great, played by Frida Gustafsson. So it looks like a lot of these people still have that origin of being from Scandinavia. We also get some Leafs friends and stuff. We won't talk too much about them because I don't know any of them by name. So
They die. They all die.
They all die.
Yeah, they're not important. Nobody cares.
But yeah, Leaf and Frades, they are the power brother and sister. We also meet Harold. Harold is also, he's like tied for my second favorite guy, or my favorite guy. So it's like between him and Leaf. Harold is fantastic. I didn't think I'd like this guy. He's the grandson of King Harold, who, if you don't remember him, he was the one that had the brother in Vikings, and he killed his brother, and he has the face tattoos, and he becomes the king of all Norway through really shady ways, and was known to be a rapist, that kind of stuff.
I think it's my favorite storyline in Vikings. That whole show is those two brothers and him going off to become a king just to win the favor of that queen, and then her still turning him down. And he rightly, I'm pretty sure, like killed her horrifically.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think so.
He
if I
went through a
remember
lot of wives. It's cool. His death scene. His brother comes back to take him to Valhalla. And they start singing together. It's really cool.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah, those were two. That was probably my favorite like string of story from Vikings.
Sure. We also meet a couple other people, and we're going to be bouncing around all these episodes, so bear with us. But we got King Canute. What'd you think of King Canute throughout this season?
He just poofed. There was a point where they were like, he left, and I went, wait, he just left?
Yeah,
And we got married too. Wait, whoa, hold on. So it was weird because it was like good, because I feel like this show does a lot better in terms of saying, hey, time has passed than Vikings did originally.
Sure.
Vikings was wild. Vikings would go from one scene to the next, and 2 years had passed.
Yeah.
It was like insane. It was nuts. Whereas this show is at least going, hey, he's gone, and then like a couple of scenes go by, and then he's still gone, and you're like, oh, time is passing. This is good. Oh, good. He's disappeared for a while. This is great. So yeah, he disappeared, but overall his character was actually really, really charming.
He's a good king.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and
I would follow him.
Tell through that performance.
Because forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's Christian, right?
Yes.
So like the fact that he was able to unite the Christians and the non-Christians was pretty admirable, because they are really going heavy on this Christian versus non-Christian.
King Canute did not unite them. That was Harold. King Canute wanted to. He was unsuccessful. It took Harold's wise words to unite them.
There you go. You remember better than I do. That's one
Yeah,
reason I do like Harold is he is very diplomatic. He's always involved. He's a good character.
yeah.
We have a couple other people. We got Olaf, Harold's son. What do you think of Olaf?
He looked like somebody else. He looks like somebody, and I don't know quite who it is, but he's a completely like I had to look the actor up. I don't know this guy, but
Yeah,
he did really good. Like he's a solid antagonist. Like he's a good villain,
right. It is
and I think
really
maybe the strongest villain.
it is really interesting to see just how much Norway has changed in 100 years with Catholicism, and there's so many Vikings now that are practicing it, and they're hating their own kind because they're sticking to the old ways. Um, but yeah, he's one of the main believers. He's like, okay, I'm going to do all of this for Christ. Which is funny because it was Harold himself who actually like does more Christian work than any of them, and reminds them like this is the way of Christ. Where like a lot of these guys are just they're doing what they feel like is right and using Christ as the scapegoat, so to speak, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean it's a big mirror into the real world, and this is something that comes up often whenever I put stuff on Twitter. Is like humans love watching fantasy. They love watching really unrealistic war and all of this crazy stuff, people blowing up and whatever. They hate seeing reality. They hate
Sure.
seeing themselves. They hate looking into a mirror because humans are humans. They're pretty horrible, technically,
Well,
generally.
one thing
So,
I
like, when they see this, and this is one of the storylines that they see is okay, we got Christianity coming in and bullying out the other religion, and they're using it as a weapon instead of what it should be as like a guiding light, a hope. Like it's like a tiny little peek into what human life is like and what it was like for the Vikings. So it's interesting. I like that on the philosophical level.
Yeah, and it's interesting because very, very, very beginning of the episode, we have King Athelred, who decides to kill all the Vikings in England. He's just like, yeah, no more. Even if you're a Christian, just you're dead. I would have liked to see more build up there, like why he did it. I have no idea why he did it, other than just no more Vikings. Maybe trying to claim back some land, but it didn't really ever talk about his motives. It just set up the motives for everyone else. Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if Godwin had something to do with it
Possibly, but I mean,
because
Godwin is
he
such a
saved.
snake that I don't know which way he's leaning.
I don't think he's a snake. That's what's crazy to me. I think he saves Harold in the beginning because Harold
He
talks to his
does.
brother,
He
right?
he does. That's what I mean by snake, though. Is like he's just bending back and forth between sides. I wouldn't be surprised to find out Godwin's actually French. Like I don't know what he is. Okay, he's doing stuff.
It's in the name. He's a god and he wins.
Yeah, I guess
That's
so.
it.
But
That's it.
speaking of Godwin, he was pretty awesome throughout the entire season. I really enjoyed his scenes.
Okay, can we talk about? I'm gonna kind of spoil something here. I was with him 1,000%. I was like, "You're gaming the system. I appreciate that." He went one step too far. There's one thing that I would never, ever, ever do,
What was
nor would
that?
I ever like sign on for. Murdering a child.
Oh, he does murder a child. That's right.
Murdering a child. I can't get behind that. So it kind of sucks because I was like, damn, now I can't like cheer for you. And at
Yeah,
that point, I'm like, shit. Well, who am I gonna cheer for? I think I'm cheering for King Canute at this point.
it's a pretty solid option. He's pretty great.
Yeah.
Because the other person that I felt like you were gonna be rooting for was oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember her name. Jarl.
Olga.
Is it
Um,
Altora?
let me see if I can find. It's y'all Haken. Haken.
Hawken?
Hoken. Hoken. I think it's like Hoken.
Yeah. Well, the Jarl of Catacat, the African
Yeah. Hoken.
American woman, how she explains like she's descended from like half Viking, half African. Like that was awesome. I loved seeing that. As she was great as an actress. I enjoyed the scenes and like was super heavy on the Shield Maidens, which the Shield Maidens are awesome. Like I liked the woman power here. It worked for me. Sometimes it
Yeah.
doesn't. This like it was like yeah, I totally well done. totally. I would follow her over, Corey any day. That guy, that guy's a little cuckoo, but
Yeah, yeah.
he's a
It's
good
just
actor too.
another. It's another tie-in to the broad theme of, uh, what is it, like pacifism versus weaponized religion.
Mm, yeah,
So yeah,
but
like
my
Catacat really.
standout, my standout woman was actually Emma of Normandy. She's the one that won my heart. Wow, to have someone in your corner like that, like almost like a Cersei, but not crazy. She's just
Yeah, she was smart.
very smart, very tactful. Like
I
she knew what kind of world she's living in, but she uses it to her advantage.
kinda,
She stands up to all of them. Doesn't let them.
kinda.
No, I think she did a great job with like what she could. Um,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like she feels like, I guess this is a cool like little difference of y'all Håkon versus Emma, because Emma is smart, is good enough to lead, is good enough to rule, but is so bound by this silly rule of there must be a king. No, the queen is not in charge. There must be a king. Like she could have easily taken over. She didn't have the like strikingness. Like she couldn't do it. She needed Godwin to be able to do that. She needed her son, the king, to be able to make the decisions, even though she was feeding him lines. Like, she has everything. She has all the tools, but she
stepson.
never actually does anything about it until I think maybe in the end of the season when she teams up with Godwin. But even then, Godwin does most of the work there.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I agree with you for the most part. She is smart. She's way capable. I just don't think that she like took over as much as she could have, as much as I think she might in the second season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if she can really let go and like be let off those chains and really lead. Because I don't know a lot about this era in history. Um, some things here and there. Like I know a little bit about Leaf, but most of my Scandinavian knowledge and love for like mythology and all that was more about the the forefathers of these people. And so like this is all really refreshing to me. I really like this. I'm really enjoying it. Now,
I think
I don't want to spoil really anything too heavy about like Leaf and like his story. Um, so we won't go into that. But
Well, can we go into the broad thing about what him and his sister, like the two completely different
we can
paths they're
go
on, and how
into
poetic that is?
yeah, we can go into everything that was shown in the show. What I'm talking more about is like where he ends up.
Oh, like
That
in real history?
yes, I know where
Oh,
he ends up. Um,
in 1422.
It'll be interesting. It will be interesting to see how they do that. Um, but yeah, you said you wanted to talk about him and his sister, so why don't you go and take over
Yeah,
first?
they introduce you to Freydis and Leaf, and then at the beginning of the season, like I don't know, to me they're a little generic. They're just kind of generic heroes. The whole time, all I kept thinking of Leaf was like, damn, he's like Captain America. He is so GD boring. I cannot watch this guy because he's just so plain. He's not bad. Like it's entertaining, but like as a character compared to all of these other crazy characters, to me he was just the most flat. That I was like, yeah, guarantee like his sister's gonna get in trouble and he's gonna come and save her. He's just typical hero guy, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of his arc is where he's typical hero guy until it starts going not good for him,
Right.
and when it goes not good for him, he realizes, oh, well, I had a cross on my body at the time, and so he's starting to have like a conflict with his
Yes.
paganism, whereas Freydis is on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, being introduced to paganism a little bit more so than she was before because they
I
were kind of
actually didn't catch that.
isolated.
That's a
Yeah, so
really
they're
good
on
point.
completely different paths.
That's a really good point. Yet, like, we also see. I don't know if the ending episode is like saying like he's like going more berserk. He's gonna be a berserker now. Berserker is
Right?
not just like an action in combat. It's like a way of life. They just like seek death all the time.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting arc. Although I kind of worry about. Do you remember in Vikings like season two when Rollo was like, "I'm bad guy this season," and he was berserker for a season, and then he was like, "Okay, I'm good guy again."
Yeah,
Like I don't want them to do that. Don't do that again. Don't do that.
That's
If
fair.
you're gonna make him a crazy berserker, that's fine, but he needs to be a crazy berserker.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So the show, I mean, it gets going. Episode 1 and 2, they're in Catacat. They are all deciding we're gonna go to England. We're gonna go get revenge for what King Athelred did to our people. I don't give a damn if you're Christian. I don't give you a damn if you're a pagan. We're all Viking, and that should be enough reason alone. They're like, yeah. So they go to England, and they have the Marshes episode. That episode is when they're getting ready for the attack on England, trying to figure out how they were going to go about it. We also see the beginning of the pilgrimage for Frades, which this just seems like a bad world, that bad things happen all the time, and like I don't know if it was always like that in reality, but
Hmm.
like you're on the road and it's like Skyrim. You're gonna run into a bunch of bad guys at all times, and it's interesting
That's how
because
it feels. Yeah.
Frades and her group of followers, they run into what I can only describe as a Christian giant, um, who was Viking, who really wanted to kill some pagans on their way to their pilgrimage to I can't, is it Hubub? Hublup?
Hubbub. No, it's Uppsala.
Uppsala? Yeah, I was
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
Yeah.
So kills all of her party but one. She kills him. Um, it's interesting she has that cross on her back. I don't know a lot about Frades, to be honest, like lore wise and stuff. But yeah, it's just interesting. I think a lot of it's going to come down to Catholicism and paganism, and I really like how you pointed out. Leaf is going to be having some conflicts there, and maybe we'll have some conflicts between them. I mean, that always is like television 101. Like, how do we make the conflict? But maybe it actually happened. Now, episode 4, The Bridge, that is where things like, I'm like, okay, this show's pretty awesome. Because
Yeah, the bridge.
we have King Edmund, your favorite character, right?
No,
No. You didn't like King
no.
Edmund.
What makes you think he's my favorite?
Oh, just because he reminded me so much of Joffrey.
Oh, no. Joffrey was funny because he was completely worthless. This kid at least is like competent.
That's
He
fair.
like he's okay. Like Joffrey was completely useless and was so overconfident. This kid was doubtful. Like he actually felt like a way watered down version of Joffrey, and it was kind of sad because he was really just a tool the entire season, being used by everybody, um, which I'm not cool with. But yeah, so no, but he did play his part, and he's a pretty damn good actor for a kid. Like,
But he definitely gave you vibes of Joffrey. You can't deny you didn't get some Joffrey vibes with like his pitch, his wailing, his
oh yeah, he
complaining.
was. Yeah, he was a water. I would say he's a watered down Joffrey. Yeah.
That's fair. But I mean, at least he tried, right? And we get that awesome, awesome scene of the bridge and Leaf and his group with Harold and Leaf and his Greenlanders. They go underneath the bridge. They start chopping with the. I thought, that's what I thought they were doing, and maybe it's just like sake of television drama. Like it ended up fine, but I'm like, why did they stop pounding their shields? Like keep pounding, keep chopping, keep going. They have no idea that you're there. Why stop now? And then,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I
But
think it was. I think the long game there was. The cool thing about the show. There's a lot of strategy in it,
mm,
so a lot of it is kind of like planning at a war board, and maybe not everybody will like that, but to me, like that's super fascinating. That was some of my favorite scenes in Game of Thrones, and they do that a lot in this one. One of the strategies for the bridge was there were two different strategic advances. You had the defense of the castle, where they were going to bring an army from Mercia all the way around to trap the Vikings and pincer them, and that was the defense. Whereas the attack was, we're gonna attack him on the bridge, goad him to come out and fight, bring him to the part of the bridge that's weak, cut it off so he can't escape, and then we'll have the king. If we take the king, we take England. So it's really like a crazy cool chess match happening all at once. And I mean, even King Canute can kind of like admit to uh, Prince Edmund's like strategic prowess in the moment of weaponizing. I think he calls them dragon's teeth in the water or something like that,
Well,
and it was really cool.
he also he praises him, but then he's like, no, that wasn't you. That was your mom.
Right.
But like he does say
Yeah,
you had courage, and like that's fine. Courage,
yeah.
hooray.
I think Chris Edmund has like admirable qualities to actually go out there and because that's the thing about Joffrey. Joffrey's like, I'm not going out there. What? Absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah, so like I think it was really cool to see that. I was like, oh, okay. I thought this kid was going to be like protected by mom, or a complete coward, but no, he was actually like, oh shoot, I'm the king now. I guess I'm going to go be a king. And yeah, it was pretty cool, pretty interesting to
I,
watch.
I'm really happy with the outcome of what happened. But that fight on the bridge was awesome. Loved it. Really fun to experience, and their plan just worked. It worked really really well. They capture
Wow.
England. They capture the
And
king.
can I ask, did you get any Dynasty Warrior vibes at all ever?
No.
Okay, now I want you to rethink of this, okay? You've got the two strategists, the two rulers, right? Emma and King Canute. And then you have like the kid who's like the prince and he's just kind of a prop or whatever. And then you have the warriors and the generals and all their armies. And then you have this one big battle area and it's the bridge. And it's basically just two forces going after each other. And there's big generals around. And you're like, oh, that one's on a horse. He must be important. It gave me crazy Dynasty Warrior vibes because once they had trapped Prince Edmund, here comes Godwin coming to like save him alone on the horse, and it was like a scene from Dynasty Warriors
Sure.
where like Guan Yu is like, no, I need to go save the child or something, and he was just like going for it. It was just really cool. It happened multiple times this season, but that was one of those times that I was like, damn man, they've really made this perfect in terms of storytelling.
Yeah.
Because
I
realistically, Godwin would never do that, but
I don't know how Godwin survived, to be honest, because he didn't. He stayed when they got charged. Did he just
in the
like
name,
surrender?
it's in the name. Godwin, he went. He's
I
like Batman. He just went.
I guess so.
That's it.
Um, the other thing though is just how fast they did it, and then King Canute's like, "Yep, I'm here." The Mercians, they didn't charge. Dude, can we just agree the English are the worst? Like they are the worst in every depiction of any historical like movie. They always suck, and they always make really really dumb choices. And it's just like, dude, none of them could like ever unite. They would never unite. They always were like full of pity. I'm not saying like current English. Obviously, this is just the Saxons. They all sucked. They all sucked. Uh,
Yeah, seems to be a problem of that time because like Vikings ended up that way where it's like, oh, now I'm going to double cross you, and
well,
I'm
not
going to
even
double
just
cross you,
Vikings.
and
Not
it's
even
just
just
constant.
Vikings, like the Mongols too. Like when Genghis Khan died, like they just fell apart. Like, and once you don't have that unity anymore, that charismatic leader, your army just falls apart. Your kingdom falls apart.
Be
Uh,
fair, to be fair, in 600 years or so,
hmm,
right? People are gonna look back at us and go, what were they doing? Why were they arguing so much? I can't believe they didn't have electric cars. They had them there the whole time and they just didn't do it. They just didn't like make them all electric right away. Why wouldn't they
possibly.
do that?
I'm just saying.
650 years.
I'm just
Like they're gonna be
saying.
talking about us the same way.
I'm just saying. Most of the time, when you think about or see like English in movies and stuff, they just always suck. But anyways, so yeah, we had the bridge. Bridge was great, and then we had like the pilgrimage stuff in Uppsala. I didn't really care for it. I don't know. Like sometimes I like that mythology part of Vikings, but at the same time, I'm just like, okay, it's a little weird. It's a little too much. Like destinies and stuff. I don't know. It all got weird
Yeah.
in the previous one too. Like, what were we seeing? Were we actually seeing Odin? Do you remember, like in the in Vikings, like when uh, Athelstan was still around, and like we were seeing Jesus Christ, and we were also seeing Odin. Like it was getting trippy. We were seeing a bunch
Yeah,
of different
yeah.
things. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
That was when I kind of started to check out. I was like, oh, okay. We're getting into strange territory here where it's just like, okay, at this point, I don't know what the truth is because you just keep showing me different versions. Makes me think that maybe the showrunners are like, well, religion is a very personal thing, and in the end, it's whatever you believe in. Because it's seemingly whenever somebody goes, it's whatever they believe in shows up.
That's fair. No, that's fair. But yeah, we get to see her pilgrimage. That's, whatever. She gets an Utbard sword. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Very, very, very famous Viking sword that's very rare. There's a bunch of them. Well, not a bunch, but there were a few of them made. But yeah, there's significance in that sword. It's not just a sword. Then you have the fight for Catacat. So we got King or Jarl Kore, who is the crazy religious nut who wants to kill everyone that's not Christian. Because he had a peacemaker moment, pulling in some peacemaker trivia. Saw his brother die in front of him, made him question everything. And yeah, he was an interesting character. He was there for whatever, but everyone betraying everyone. They fight for Catacat. We got Olaf saying he doesn't want to be king of Norway, but he is wanting to be king of Norway. He's, manipulating and using Harold. Like, I didn't think for a second Harold had betrayed them. Not for a moment. I'm like, okay, how are they going to do this? Oh, they're going to use Harold against them without even realizing it. And sure enough, they do. Because him and Frades have a thing. Speaking on which, I'm just going to go back. This is just side note. Because I thought, I don't know. It's getting into the weird conversations like with Game of Thrones. They had a nudity scene, I think it was the first episode. And then they had a much more vivid nudity scene between the same characters. I think it was episode 6, maybe episode 5. How do you feel about that in this kind of show? Because I'll be honest. One thing that I liked that Game of Thrones did is nudity for story reasons. I'm for it. It was fine. But then, when they started throwing in, all this brothel stuff just because boobs or whatever, I didn't care. I'm like, this is such a good show that I don't want you wasting any time on stuff that isn't good. Where in this show, I don't know, it's just showing that they are lovers or whatever, but I don't know. How do you feel about it? Do you think it's necessary? Would you rather it not be there?
Well, I mean, it's whatever the show decides to do. Because, I mean, if the show is going at it at a practical reason, they want to attract viewers. What sells better than sex? Nothing. So that's what they go for. Makes sense. So I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me at all. I care for the scenes? Not really. I mean, I'm gonna spoil this for everybody. I've seen people have sex before. It's wild. It's crazy. It's interesting. It's fascinating. Sometimes it's fun.
Okay.
And with that being said, I don't really need to see them. It's oh, okay. You can insinuate it, and then I can put two and two together.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it every single time. I don't think they overdid it. I don't think they overused it. I thought it was fine. It was whatever.
Frick, maybe it was for the women, because we saw a lot of Harold, and Harold goes to the gym. You can tell that man does squats. It's we saw a little too much, but I mean,
what are you talking about? What do you mean? Because I'm gonna be honest, right? I wasn't watching. Do we see
yes?
Do we see dick?
No dick. No.
Oh.
But we see his entire backside, and he looks like a bodybuilder. I mean, straight up bodybuilder. Just, I don't know. G.I. Joe. He looks like a G.I. Joe. We'll say it like that. So, whatever you're doing, his name is Leo Suter. You're doing it right, my friend. I aspire to look like you one day. But
Can I side note something real quick?
Sure.
Sitting here looking at the cast, on Google or whatever, and most of them are on there, and it's oh, cool, now I can recognize you. Because I looked at the cast after the first episode, and I was like, oh, okay, these are some of the characters coming in. Okay, no actors that I know of, none at all, except for one girl from Walking Dead. But I'm looking at all these people, and I'm going, damn, all of you are way more attractive with beards.
You know what's funny? I'm funny. I find it funny you say that, because Harold, yeah, he should have a beard. Leaf in his photo, he kind of has a shallow beard. Godwin has a beard, but yeah, King Canute looks way better with a beard.
will you find Jack Malarkey for me, and you tell me that is not this man's teaching school book year photo?
Maybe.
Can you do that?
Yeah, no, the King Canute photo I'm looking at, he looks like a politician.
If you look up Jack Malarkey, if anyone's listening to this, you want a good laugh, look up Jack Malarkey. His like IMDb face shot, whatever. His most famous photo is pretty much a yearbook photo of some school that he must work at. It's hilarious. I don't know where they picked him out from, but hey, look at that. He's on a show.
There you go.
Fantastic.
There you go. We got Godwin. Yeah, he's great. But yeah, so going back, we do have that battle. So we have the Battle of um, Uppsala. I guess that happens
Oh,
before Catacat, and Uppsala just gets absolutely destroyed by King Jarl Kore. And Jarl Kore is then used by Olaf to attack Kattegat.
so
And he pulled an English. He pulled an English on
really,
him.
yeah, yeah, really, really
It's
smart.
like, I'm just going to let them both fight to their deaths, and then I'll go
Yeah,
in and kill the weak.
and
And
it
then
might
I will
be
be
like,
king.
yeah, it might be something he picked up. He was like, oh, I could do that because he was at the Battle of the Bridge. So like he probably saw that all go down, knew about it, like because I know that they all knew about it. So it's like, oh well, I could just do that to King Korra or whatever his name is, and I win, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Good triple threat strategy there. Love
But
it.
then a character we haven't talked about, which I love, Jarl Forkbeard, he
Oh
shows
yeah.
up. And he was proxy, the proxy king at England for Canute when Canute had to go back to Denmark. And he's great. I like him. I think he's a fun actor. I don't recognize him in anything, but anytime you get like an old grizzled Viking with a giant beard, I'm in. Like, I'm just gonna like him. I know I will.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. I'm
he's cool.
pumped, man.
So yeah,
Yeah, he kind of showed up randomly, and I was like, okay, random guy, but okay, here we go. And he really
oh
stole. He really took his stage. He took his place quickly.
right, and we actually skipped the politics of like England with
I was gonna
Or
say, like,
Queen
you went straight
Emma.
to, yeah, you went straight to the Battle of Catacat, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, we
Well,
can.
we're gonna be bouncing around. That's just what
All
it
good, no worries.
is. But Queen
Yeah, yeah,
Emma and what's her name? Queen. I just had a photo of her.
I think, yo, oh,
Githa, I think her name is.
Alpha Gupu,
Oh, is that who it is?
Alpha Gupu.
Okay, yeah, well that
Uh,
one.
we're gonna call her Vi Queen.
Bye, Queen. That's fine.
That's way better.
She reminded me of Cersei, like straight
Yeah,
up. She's like,
she
nope,
was
I'm
annoying.
Queen.
If there's a character I didn't like, it's her.
Yeah, but to be fair, like she kind of got screwed. Like, okay,
Yeah,
you marry King Canute. You're the Queen of Denmark. He captures England. By the way, he's Christian now.
but
So
do you think
because he's
like,
Christian, your marriage was never under God. Your marriage is now void, and so that you're not Queen of England. Yeah.
but let's think about this. If you're King Canute, right, and you're living with that horrible person, wouldn't you also want to move to England and marry
Yes.
the queen?
Yes.
Right? Like, I mean, let's not put this all on King Canute here. I think this is maybe a bit of a give and take between both of them.
But yeah, it's funny how Forkbeard was the one that had to clean it up.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad that she
And
got dealt with.
I'm glad that she got dealt with. Yes, that's like I don't. That was one thing, and like Cersei was so good. Don't misunderstand me, but like sometimes it's just like I wish it would progress more. Like I'm tired of what's happening. They're not doing that in this show, and like
Oh,
they could stretch it out, and they could really stretch it out because that's what they were doing in the last couple seasons of Viking, and I was just like, man, you are just trying to get at everything you can out of this, and
yeah.
yeah, it just I didn't like her too much either, but she felt her role. She made Queen Emma look even cooler. Um, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Queen Emma in anything before. I was looking up her IMDb, and yeah, I don't recognize like anything. She was in a Snow White film that I've never heard of.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I think a majority of these actors and actresses are Swedish or like they're from that area because they're all
She seems English. Oh, she's German. Her name is Laura
yeah
Berlin.
yeah. It seems like a European Hollywood type thing because
Yeah,
I
I
don't
love it.
know very many of these people.
I love it. I mean, all these people, besides the ones that we've talked about that we didn't really like, have been awesome, really awesome. And Queen Emma is pretty awesome. Um, I
Yeah,
don't
she
want
did a
to.
really good job.
I don't want to talk like too much crap about another Viking show that's on Netflix, but I went from this show after finishing this to that show, and this show is just so much better. It is.
Can I talk crap about a TV show?
Sure.
You're about to kick me off of your little podcast.
Okay.
This show way better than The Witcher, thousand percent
It
better.
is better than The Witcher.
Yeah,
I love The Witcher. Witcher is like one of my favorite mediums of all time, but what they did with season 2 was not the best.
yeah.
They have potential.
I think it's got potential. I just think it's got bad showrunners,
Yeah,
people who are
yeah,
writing the script.
yeah.
But,
And that's the thing is I think they're addressing it, but
yeah.
yeah. So we have the Battle of Catacat. Battle of Catacat was pretty great. Some people die. Leaf's significant other dies. Um, and it's interesting because it's really going to like we're gonna see who Leaf becomes. Like he said he didn't want to go back to Greenland. He doesn't want to go to England. He has people, that respect him in Catacat.
She's gonna
Um,
say that.
yeah, it's just what's his destiny? Like what's gonna push him forward because he doesn't want to be in the shadows of his father anymore. Um, but at the same time, he's not like power hungry. He's not seeking power.
Nah.
Even when he won the against the English, it was his plan. Like all he wanted was his sister to be free, and like let him go home. He's like, I'm good. Like I don't really need anything.
Yeah, for season 2, I expect him to hang out with King Forkbeard for a while, being his berserker and just killing lots of people.
I sure hope so. I sure hope he just goes nuts and he's like, I don't want to live, and
Well, I mean, he's
goes
an
and
Avenger, so
fights. Yeah, and goes and fights a bunch of people and just doesn't die, and then eventually like Harold or someone like brings him around. But
I
um,
seriously think like Captain America would have trouble against him.
I was nervous he was gonna kill Forkbeard's grandson, and be like that was gonna be the cliffhanger, because I thought the last scene of this season was kind of weird. It didn't feel like a last scene. It's just like, oh, he's yelling, he has blood. And
Yeah, it almost felt like a. Do you remember Sleepaway Camp? One night I made you watch that.
oh yeah,
Yeah, you remember that? How if we're just going.
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
compare it to that because that one haunts me.
it's pretty similar. it's it's just as out of left field. You're like, oh okay. He's just sitting there doing something goofy. It's a little strange. I just think the show will pick up on him getting like interfered with by King Forkbeard or whatever, or Canute or whoever.
Sure, and I was even like wondering up to that point. I'm like, how is he gonna say like he's not an enemy? Like, how does that work? And like Forkbeard's men's come up like they're just like, oh Leaf, like no, they don't know who he is.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Harold's hurt. He's off with Frades doing stuff. That's
Just
really
an
everything.
excuse.
Olaf
Maybe
ran
about
away,
this.
right?
Well, sorry, what was that?
Olaf ran away. He's still alive.
He'll be back. He's like Team Rocket. He'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. With Harold though, you know why that is, right?
Why he's hurt?
Yeah, he's got to go spend some quality time with Freydis and stay out of the main plot line for a while, and he has to go on a
Uh,
spiritual journey away from Christianity and into paganism
is that what you're
because
thinking?
he hasn't done that. Yeah, because he's with Freydis, who's way pagan, like completely. But she's the last pagan, I guess. So yeah, like she's like a goddess in the pagan world, of course, and he loves her.
Yeah, it's fair.
So they got to sideline him, and they also have to have a couple babies before he can come back.
A couple babies.
I think that's like Viking rules.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's interesting. It would be interesting to see if he does become king of Norway. I don't recall. I recognize King Canute's name, but there's so many heralds. I don't know. That's like a pretty normal name for a Viking.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, great
Good old
show.
Harry.
But anything you didn't like about the show?
I would say that the only part that really dragged for me was the really, and it had nothing to do with Freydis's character. I really like her character and her storyline, and the scene she has with Jarl Harkon about Harkon's vision of the tsunami was really cool because it's like, oh, in their primitive mind, they think it's a gift, but in my
Yeah,
logical
that
current
was
mind,
cool.
I'm like, run away. You need to run away. This is real bad. When water just disappears, it's time to go.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that was the cool bits of that. But the part I didn't like was like, oh, I'm the seer. You're don't come find me again, and all that crazy stuff. I didn't really dig all that. The only seer stuff and Uppsala stuff that I did like was when King Korda like messed all of them up and killed them immediately, and was so insane that he thought he captured the seer in the cage. That was pretty funny.
that is actually pretty funny.
But
Um,
other than that, no.
yeah,
Yeah,
some of
the
Frady's
solid season.
scenes I didn't really like either. Not because of her, just I don't know. Kind of felt like it was pulling me out of the show a bit. Um, and then yeah, the whole like politics between Queen Emma and Queen. I don't know what you named her, but her. I didn't really like those scenes all that much. Felt like okay, like whatever.
They were
Um,
fun.
I am. I just. It is nice that they wrap that up pretty fast, and
Yeah, to your
I'm
point,
sure. I'm sure we'll
to
see
your
it
point,
again. But
yeah, to your point earlier, it really felt like Netflix was like, "We'll give you 8 episodes. Do your best," and so they did. So they really, what felt like pushed 2 seasons into one, seemingly or maybe 12 episodes into eight.
yeah,
So honestly, the Vite Queen and Queen Emma's like discourse to me did feel very rushed, but it was okay for a rush job. It felt like okay, I got the point. We're good, and I agree with you. I didn't need to see more than that.
that's totally fair. Um, favorite scene of the entire series, first season.
Oh, it's a tie between two. They're both Godwin scenes. The first one was really good, and the second one was really bad. But they're both my favorite because they kind of go together wonderfully. You understand who Godwin is pretty much right away. He's just no nonsense. You can tell what he wants. He's a strategic mastermind, and he's gonna easily figure out a way to get what he wants. So when he's training Prince Edmund, it's really smart that he goes, no, 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 I'm gonna whoop your ass because
Yeah,
these soldiers, I need them to leave so that you don't get embarrassed or they don't look at you differently. I need to whoop your ass and show you that they're kissing your ass because you're the king. You're
yeah,
not actually that damn good.
that
And it
was a
was
good
like that
scene.
was good. It was a good scene to set you up all season to think that Godwin is a crazy mastermind who could be evil, but luckily he's good. He's on our side. Thank goodness for
I
that.
feel like
And
Godwin
then
is right out of Game of Thrones, and he's been plopped into this universe, and he's like,
like
I know
perfect.
what's going on. Like
He's
I'm
perfect,
playing the
man.
game.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the other half of the coin on that scene is when he kills Prince Edmund. Like the way they shoot it is so brilliant. They do the race
We do
up,
need to talk
and
about that.
he jumps up. Well, I'll talk about it real quick. They're doing a race, so you're like, oh, okay, cool. They were like bonding or whatever. Like he's lost his father. Okay, they're mentoring each other. This has been the story beat all season long, and crazy times are ahead. So Godwin is training the king. Okay, so they're having a little race, and he knows that Prince Edmund is wants to win, and he's a little bit in over his head sometimes. So he cheats to win the race to set up later that Prince Edmund is going to cheat to win the race back to the castle. But uh, Godwin put up a trap. He put up a rope, which is so effing smart that I didn't see it coming, and I went, "Oh my god, he has this mangled child, and he's still alive. Oh my god, what is he gonna do? People are coming. What is he gonna do?" He pulls out a knife and he stabs the kid, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Oh, it was hard. It was really hard to watch because I really hate violence against kids, and this kid does count as a kid. But I was so impressed, so I was really conflicted. So
Why do
that's
you
my
think he
favorite two
killed him?
scenes. Hmm?
Why do you think he killed him?
Because he needed him to go away so that Canute had legitimacy for the throne. Because then it gives Canute power. When it gives Canute power, then he has something to fight against, right? If
Yeah,
King
so
Canute has
you think
power, he
he's
could
really
overthrow
on
him.
Canute's side then?
I I think Godwin is on Godwin's side, and it doesn't matter who's on the other side. He's Machiavellian.
That's fair.
It's all about him.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, because he really does just kind of do what's best for him.
Yeah, he kind of turns into what Arya should have been after
Yeah.
her whole journey.
Yeah, that's fair.
Completely strategic mastermind who is willing to do the necessary
Speaking of that
evil.
show, is that the Storm of Winters? Is that what it's called?
Oh God, I don't
Winter
know.
of Storms, something like that. We'll be doing that show here, guys, as well. You'll find it on YouTube, find it on Twitch. But yeah, give the rating. What would you say out of 10?
Well, if you follow me on Twitter, I am now expanding my ratings from 1 out of 10 type stuff to pretty much out of 100.
I
So
like
I gave
that.
it
Let's
an
do that for.
8.2.
Okay, so 82.
Yeah,
Um,
82.
I will give this show. I'm gonna give it an 86, and I'm a little higher because the shot quality. Like it shocked me. It's a good show. It came out of nowhere. I don't think it deserved to be this good, especially with how Vikings ended. But whoever's behind this is doing a really good job. The casting is phenomenal. Story writing is great. It's a great idea. When I first heard about this, first saw it, I thought, oh, they're just trying to get more money. No, no, no. They deserve it. They deserve all the money. You, for whatever reason, you haven't seen it and you're listening to us. Stop, because go watch. It's really worth your time. And there was only 8 episodes. It went pretty fast. Most of them are averaging around 40, 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very good. I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give it an 86 out of 100. But
Nice.
that's what we got today, guys. That is a little bit more from the Good Batch. Hopefully it help someone and help someone's day feel a little bit better. That's what this channel's all about, is just having fun, talking crap about the things we enjoy, and being with friends. You should be able to find the Good Batch on Twitter. I believe it's the Good Batch at the Good Batch podcast. I will double check that. But then you can also find us on YouTube. And Derek, why don't you talk about your channels?
Yeah, so you can find me on Prophet God. Just Google Prophet God, you'll find me somewhere. Yeah, I do mostly wrestling content, movie and film, TV content, even white trash TV like Love is Blind and Survivor. It's all my good stuff, and some politics, so find me Prophet God somewhere. I'm around.
And that Twitter handle for the Good Batch is actually Good Batch Show. So yeah, thanks guys. Other than that, I think we have some other stuff coming up soon, some other shows. So just stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.
Whee!